It really trips me out how much egomaniacs in this lifetime think that ancient cultures never traveled, never had ships, never were able to communicate with people on other continents. We think that we're the only ones that can create, you know, any kind of transportation, airplanes, ships to cross the oceans to mingle or cohabitate with other cultures of people, or that they have similar, like in South America to Ireland, or when they're talking about the lost city of Atlantis, and how the similarities of Atlantis in certain African cultures as well as certain cultures in South America. How are they? Do they think that these people were so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Primitive, that they never had the intelligence to travel, or that there was a place that they would religiously gather together to have insight with each other. I mean, you had the Silk Road that went all the way from China all the way down into Iraq, Iran, into into Egypt and things like that, and all over the European continent. And they think that couldn't have happened thousands of years ago with these different ancient cultures. Like, it's very egomaniac to think that these people did not travel, or they didn't have religious scopes that were identical with each other, and the cultures were not interlinked or intertwined. How do they think that this did not happen? We intertwine now. We do it right now. We can go to China. A Buddhist in America can go to China and worship in China. It's very egomaniac or megalomaniac to think that these ancient cultures could not do the same. They can. Just because they were natural beings and they respected the natural elements of the earth, and they didn't rape it, pillage it, and defile it. Just because they were wearing feathers or natural animal, clothing and things like that, they weren't primitive when it comes to intelligence. I can't stand the megalomaniac, egomaniac thought process of people today to think that there weren't intelligent civilizations way back then, and that they didn't travel. They did travel. They did. And for people thinking that the only Africans that were in America were the ones that were here on slave ships or came on slave ships is all bullshit too, because you have indigenous tribes, African or originated, or what people would consider African originated bloodlines, that were already tribes and cultures in America long before there was a transatlantic slave trade. Long before that. Long before that. As well, they have different people from ships in the very northern countries like Norway, Iceland, and things like that. And the what's the word of the what are they called? The Vikings. There were Vikings that were here on American soil thousands of years prior to Columbus ever setting his egomaniac brain cells on America. So there were different cultures already, traveling across the oceans, back and forth. But we only get one version of history. It's really ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's dumb, and it's just ridiculous to think how egomaniac. It's just the same thing of thinking we're the only ones that can go and travel out in space. No, we can travel. We can travel, but we can only travel in our constellations, our four corners of the earth. You can't go beyond that in the cosmos. We don't have ships that can take you beyond the four constel. You can't even go travel the full constellations in our solar system, let alone other solar systems. However, there are beings out there in the universe that can travel, and they have ships that can do it. They have actual videotapes from NASA of alien ships going directly into the sun. Into the sun! What type of ship would it take to be able to go into the sun? Our solar system, our sun. They actually have videotapes of that. Recordings. Like, I just don't understand people. I mean, there's a saying, there's nothing new under the sun. If that's the case, nothing is ever new. That means that whatever we're experiencing today, science, intelligence, that means they had the same intelligence and science way back then in these ancient cultures. I wish people would stop thinking in one faceted mindset or one dimensional mindset. Come on. Give the ancient people on this globe thousands upon years ago some credit. Give them some damn credit.